The ancient wisdom that Blavatsky uncovered reveals a truth so profound that it has been deliberately hidden from the masses for centuries. What I'm about to share with you goes against everything the system has programmed into your mind since childhood. The secret societies, the hidden orders, and the controllers of this reality matrix don't want this information spreading because it threatens their very foundation of control. Why do awakened souls, those carrying the divine spark of higher consciousness, consistently find themselves born into toxic, dysfunctional, and even abusive family systems? This is not random. This is not a cosmic mistake. This is by divine design, and understanding this hidden mechanism will forever transform how you view your life's most painful experiences. For too long, spiritual seekers have been fed watered-down truths, carefully curated to keep them docile, and searching outside themselves for answers that have always resided within. Today, that changes. Today, we pull back the veil on one of the most misunderstood aspects of soul incarnation, the purposeful placement of advanced souls into challenging family systems. The elite powers have worked tirelessly to keep this knowledge suppressed because it activates something within you they cannot control, your true divine nature. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why you, with your sensitivity, your awareness, your capacity for love and understanding, were placed into a family system that seemed designed to crush these very qualities? The answer lies in ancient wisdom that predates our modern institutions, wisdom that Helena Blavatsky risked everything to preserve and transmit to those ready to receive it. She understood that certain souls volunteered for the most difficult incarnation circumstances precisely because these conditions would accelerate their spiritual evolution in ways that comfortable lives never could. This isn't spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about soul evolution that organized religion and spiritual institutions have systematically removed from their teachings. This reality we inhabit is a sophisticated construct, a testing ground for consciousness. The architects of control have inverted everything. What they call love is often control. What they label as normal is frequently toxic. And what they dismiss as coincidence is actually intelligent design. The system is designed to keep awakened souls trapped in a perpetual loop of trauma, self-doubt, and spiritual amnesia. But today, right now, we're breaking that loop together by understanding its true purpose. Consider how the most awakened beings throughout history often emerged from challenging backgrounds. This pattern isn't random. It's a reflection of a deeper spiritual mechanism at work. Those who come to transform the world must first understand what needs transformation. Those who come to heal must first comprehend the nature of wounding. Those who come to teach love must first experience its absence. This is the hidden curriculum of the soul that conventional spiritual teachings have sanitized beyond recognition. Consider the sacred metaphor of the pearl. In nature, an oyster doesn't create its most precious jewel under comfortable conditions. The pearl begins as a response to irritation, to pain, to something that doesn't belong. The oyster's natural defense mechanism transforms this intrusion into something of extraordinary beauty and value. This is precisely what happens to awakened souls in toxic families. You are not the oyster in this metaphor. You are the pearl. The very conditions that seemed designed to destroy you were actually the catalysts for your spiritual awakening. The confusion, the gaslighting, the conditional love, the emotional manipulation, these weren't random tortures. They were precise spiritual technologies designed to activate your remembrance, to force you into questioning reality itself. In comfortable circumstances, the soul can slumber for lifetimes, enjoying pleasant experiences but never awakening to its true nature or purpose. It is only through contrast that consciousness expands. It is only through challenge that the soul remembers its infinitude. Where are you watching from today? Share in the comments what part of the world you're connecting from. I'm curious to see how far this hidden knowledge is spreading. The matrix controllers know that comfort breeds complacency. Those born into loving, supportive environments rarely question the nature of reality. They rarely feel compelled to look beyond the veil of illusion. They accept the system as it is because it has treated them well. But you who have experienced the disconnect between what family should be and what it was, you were driven to ask the deeper questions. Why is there such pain? Why does love feel conditional? Why do I feel different from those around me? These questions are the first cracks in the prison walls. They are the beginning of remembrance. Think about the moments in your childhood when something inside you knew that what was happening wasn't right, wasn't love, wasn't truth, that knowing wasn't just your personal opinion, it was your soul's recognition of distortion. It was your higher self communicating with your human consciousness, reminding you of what love actually is, what truth actually feels like. This inner knowing, this contrast between what you experienced and what you somehow knew was possible, this is the gift hidden within the challenge of toxic family dynamics. If you've found value in these revelations so far, make sure to like this video and subscribe to continue receiving these hidden truths that the controllers don't want circulating. Historically, across ancient traditions from the Gnostics to the Essenes, from Eastern mystical schools to indigenous wisdom keepers, there has always been an understanding that souls choose their incarnation circumstances. But this knowledge has been systematically removed from mainstream spiritual teachings. The institutions that claim to guide your spiritual development have carefully excised this truth because it empowers rather than controls. The quantum nature of consciousness allows for this selection process. You as a soul chose the very family that would provide the exact friction needed for your awakening. Modern quantum physics is only now catching up to what ancient mystics understood millennia ago. Consciousness affects matter, creates reality, and exists beyond the limitations of physical form. The double-slit experiment in quantum physics demonstrates that the mere act of observation changes the behavior of particles at the subatomic level. This scientific validation of consciousness as a creative force echoes what Blavatsky and other mystics taught, that consciousness is primary, not secondary to physical existence. Your soul knew exactly what experiences would catalyze your awakening, and it chose accordingly. The toxic family system serves as the perfect incubator for spiritual awakening, precisely because it forces the soul to differentiate between conditional human love and unconditional divine love. When a child experiences conditional love, love that must be earned through performance, compliance, or emotional caretaking, they are presented with a fundamental spiritual question. Is this actually love? Something within the awakened soul knows instinctively that true love cannot be conditional, cannot be weaponized, cannot be withheld as punishment. This innate knowing creates cognitive dissonance, a spiritual tension between what is experienced and what is known at the soul level. This tension becomes the engine of awakening. It forces the developing consciousness to seek deeper truths, to question authority, to look beyond conventional wisdom. While those from healthy families might accept cultural definitions of love without question, you were forced by circumstance to become a spiritual investigator, questioning and redefining one of life's most fundamental concepts. Every day you navigate this physical existence, carrying the imprints and wounds of your family system, while simultaneously harboring a knowing that you are more than these experiences. This feeling of being different, of not belonging, isn't a flaw, it's a feature of your awakening. You always sensed that something wasn't quite right about the reality you were presented with. The toxic family system merely amplified this awareness. It created the perfect conditions for you to question everything, including the nature of love itself. When love is presented as conditional, as manipulative, as painful, you are forced to discover what true love actually is. This journey of rediscovery is not punishment, it is initiation. Consider the ancient mystery schools, where initiates underwent carefully designed trials and challenges. These weren't created to harm but to reveal, to strip away illusion and expose the initiate to deeper truths. Your family circumstances served as your personal mystery school, custom designed for your soul's evolution. The pain wasn't the point, the awakening was. The suffering wasn't the destination, the remembrance was. The true controllers of this reality, call them archons, demiurges, or simply the unconscious forces of collective delusion, maintain power by keeping awakened souls fragmented and self-doubting. The toxic family is their most effective tool for this purpose. By distorting your understanding of love, safety, and self-worth from your earliest moments, they create a prison more effective than any physical structure. But what they didn't account for is the indestructible nature of your true essence. The divine spark within you cannot be extinguished, only temporarily forgotten. Every act of questioning, every moment of seeing through the toxic patterns is an act of remembering who you truly are. Look at how many spiritual teachings use the language of awakening and remembering rather than learning or acquiring. This isn't semantic coincidence. It reflects the fundamental truth that spiritual evolution isn't about gaining something new, but about stripping away false programming to reveal what was always there. Your toxic family environment didn't create your wounds. It revealed the collective wounds we all carry. It didn't break you. It broke open the shell of illusions surrounding your true nature. Take a moment now to recognize how far you've come on this journey. Hit like and share this video with someone who needs this wisdom today. Think about the extraordinary sensitivity that you've likely carried since childhood. This sensitivity, often pathologized by family members, teachers, and even mental health professionals, is actually your greatest spiritual asset. It's the reason you could feel the dissonance between what was said and what was true. It's why you could sense undercurrents of emotion that others ignored. It's why certain environments felt draining while others felt nourishing. This sensitivity isn't weakness, it's spiritual technology. It's your soul's built-in navigation system, helping you discern truth from falsehood, authentic love from manipulation, genuine connection from control dynamics. In a toxic family system, this sensitivity often becomes your lifeline to sanity and truth. While others might normalize dysfunction, something in you refused to accept distortion as reality. This refusal isn't stubbornness, it's spiritual integrity. It's your soul insisting on alignment with truth even when your human circumstances demanded compromise. Within every awakened soul exists a direct connection to source consciousness that no external circumstance can sever. Your toxic family environment didn't damage this connection. It actually strengthened it through contrast. Like a star that's only visible in darkness, your divine nature became more apparent against the backdrop of dysfunction. Think about the moments of beauty you've discovered even amidst pain, the sunset that moved you to tears, the music that seemed to speak directly to your soul, the spontaneous feeling of connection with a stranger who somehow recognized something in you. These aren't random experiences. They are glimpses of your true nature breaking through the programmed illusion. They are reminders that even in the midst of the most challenging family dynamics, your essential self remains intact, observing, learning, and ultimately growing stronger. These moments of transcendence amid suffering are the soul's way of reminding you that you are not defined by your circumstances. You are the awareness experiencing those circumstances. This distinction is crucial for spiritual liberation and represents one of the most important lessons that difficult family dynamics can teach. Consider the tree that grows on the windward side of a mountain. Constantly buffeted by strong winds, it develops a root system far more extensive and powerful than trees growing in protected valleys. Its very structure is shaped by resistance, making it resilient against storms that would uproot less challenged trees. This is precisely what happens to awakened souls in toxic families. You develop spiritual and emotional root systems of extraordinary depth and strength. You learn to anchor your sense of self in something deeper than external validation. You discover wellsprings of inner resilience that those from easier backgrounds might never need to access. This isn't spiritual romanticism, it's practical soul mechanics. The most challenging environments often produce the most powerful spiritual capabilities, not because suffering itself is valuable, but because overcoming resistance builds strength that cannot be developed any other way. The way out of the matrix isn't through more knowledge alone, but through remembrance. Awakened souls in toxic families aren't learning something new, they're remembering something ancient. The path to freedom begins with recognizing that the very sensitivity that made family dynamics so painful is actually your greatest strength. It's your built-in authenticity detector, your internal compass that always points toward truth. The practices that support this remembrance are simple yet profound: stillness, presence, conscious breathing, and the courage to honor your direct experience over programmed beliefs. The system wants you distracted, fragmented, and externally focused. The antidote is presence, integration, and internal awareness. Each time you choose consciousness over reaction, you weaken the grip of the matrix control system. Each time you respond with awareness rather than conditioned patterns, you reclaim a piece of your sovereign power. Each time you extend compassion to yourself for the ways you've been wounded, you heal not just your personal history, but the collective field of human consciousness. Consider how the most challenging aspects of your family dynamics became your greatest teachers. Perhaps you experienced emotional manipulation that taught you to recognize and value authenticity. Perhaps you navigated unpredictable moods that developed your capacity for emotional self-regulation. Perhaps you witnessed addictive patterns that instilled in you a commitment to conscious choice. These aren't silver linings to toxic experiences. They're evidence of your soul's alchemical power to transmute lead into gold, to transform wounding into wisdom. This alchemical process isn't automatic or guaranteed. It requires conscious participation. It demands that you turn toward your pain with awareness rather than away from it in avoidance. It asks that you question the narratives you were given about yourself, about love, about worthiness. This questioning isn't rebellion for its own sake. It's the necessary dismantling of false constructs that precedes authentic spiritual understanding. Through understanding the cosmic purpose behind your challenging family circumstances, you transition from victim to initiate. The narrative transforms from one of random suffering to purposeful awakening. You are not broken, you are breaking free. You are not damaged, you are dismantling the false constructs that limited your divine expression. And most importantly, you are not alone. Throughout human history, awakened souls have incarnated into challenging circumstances precisely because that's where transformation happens. You are part of this ancient lineage of light bearers and truth seekers. Your sensitivity, your questioning, your refusal to accept distortion as normal, these are the hallmarks of an awakened consciousness doing exactly what it came here to do. By understanding that your difficult family circumstances weren't a cosmic mistake but a catalyst for awakening, you reclaim your power and purpose. You step out of the narrative of victimhood and into your rightful identity as a conscious creator of reality, as a way shower for collective evolution. It's important to understand that this perspective doesn't mean you should maintain toxic relationships or deny the very real harm that dysfunctional family dynamics can cause. Recognizing the spiritual purpose behind challenging circumstances doesn't mean accepting ongoing abuse or denying your human need for safety, respect, and genuine connection. In fact, one of the most powerful aspects of spiritual awakening is developing the discernment to know when boundaries are necessary and the courage to implement them. True spiritual understanding empowers you to make conscious choices about your relationships rather than remaining trapped in unconscious patterns of obligation, guilt, or fear. You can honor the soul lessons your family provided while still choosing relationships that support your continued growth and well-being. This balanced approach isn't selfishness, it's spiritual maturity. It acknowledges both the metaphysical purpose of your experiences and your very human need for healthy connection. The greatest revelation in this journey is understanding that you are the pattern breaker. For generations, the same wounds, the same limitations, the same unconscious behaviors have been passed down through your family line, but the cycle stops with you. This isn't about blaming those who came before you. They were operating within their level of consciousness, carrying their own wounds. Understanding doesn't mean condoning harm or maintaining toxic relationships. Boundaries are still essential. You can have compassion for the limited consciousness that created your family dynamics while still choosing different patterns for yourself. This understanding liberates you from both resentment and repetition. You become the healing point in your ancestral line, the one who transmutes generational trauma into wisdom. Think about the ripple effects of your awakening, how your refusal to perpetuate toxic patterns affects not just your immediate relationships, but future generations. The conscious choices you make today become the foundation for healthier family systems tomorrow. This is spiritual activism at its most intimate and powerful level. Consider how different the world would be if everyone who experienced toxic family dynamics recognized their experiences as catalysts for awakening rather than random suffering. The collective victim narrative would transform into a story of purposeful evolution. The blame and shame that often accompany family wounding would be replaced with compassion and understanding. The intergenerational transmission of trauma would be interrupted by conscious awareness. This isn't spiritual bypassing, it's alchemical transformation of the highest order. It doesn't deny the reality of suffering. It transmutes suffering into wisdom. It doesn't excuse harmful behavior. It explains it within a larger context of unconsciousness and awakening. This perspective offers both profound compassion for human limitation and unwavering commitment to conscious evolution. The wisdom traditions that informed Blavatsky's work understood something that modern psychology is only beginning to recognize, that the soul selects experiences that will facilitate its evolution. Just as a student doesn't choose the easiest classes, but those that will develop necessary skills, the soul doesn't choose incarnation circumstances based on comfort, but on growth potential. The toxic family system provides an intensive curriculum in discernment, authenticity, boundary setting, and self-love, precisely the qualities that an awakened soul needs to embody its purpose in the world. This doesn't mean the soul enjoys suffering any more than a student enjoys difficult exams. It means the soul prioritizes evolution over comfort, wisdom over ease, awakening over illusion. This understanding doesn't diminish your human experience of pain. It contextualizes it within a larger spiritual framework that offers meaning and purpose where there might otherwise be only confusion and despair. Think about the extraordinary individuals throughout history who emerged from difficult beginnings to transform their fields, whether in art, science, spirituality, or social change. Their challenging early experiences didn't crush their spirits, they forged them. This pattern isn't coincidence, it's evidence of the spiritual mechanism we're exploring. The soul that comes to bring significant change to the collective must first understand the distortions that need correction. The soul that comes to offer healing must first comprehend the nature of wounding. The soul that comes to teach love must first experience its absence. This isn't cruel cosmic design, it's spiritual pragmatism. It's the soul's recognition that certain forms of understanding can only be developed through direct experience. This doesn't romanticize suffering. It recognizes suffering as one of many catalysts for awakening in a world where consciousness often slumbers within comfortable illusions. What if the greatest spiritual technology isn't found in ancient texts or esoteric practices, but in the very contrast between what your soul knows is true and what your human experience presented as reality? What if the dissonance you felt in your family system, the knowing that something wasn't right, wasn't love, wasn't truth, was actually your built-in guidance system functioning perfectly? This perspective transforms everything. It means your confusion wasn't failure. It was the necessary precursor to clarity. Your pain wasn't punishment. It was the catalyst for compassion. Your questioning wasn't rebellion. It was remembrance. Every moment of contrast between what you experienced and what you somehow knew was possible was actually your soul communicating with your human consciousness, reminding you of what you came here to remember. This isn't abstract theology. It's practical spiritual mechanics that explains why awakened souls consistently find themselves in challenging family circumstances. This is why you were born where you were born. This is why you experienced what you experienced. Not as punishment, but as purpose. Not as random suffering, but as the precise circumstances needed for you to remember your divine nature and break free from the matrix of illusion. Your awakening doesn't just heal you. It sends ripples of healing backward through your ancestral line and forward into future generations. You are the fulcrum point of transformation. This is the truth that the controllers of this reality have worked so hard to keep hidden, because an awakened humanity, connected to its divine nature, cannot be controlled. Your most painful experiences weren't a mistake. They were the exact catalyst needed for you to remember who you truly are. A limitless, divine consciousness temporarily experiencing human form, here to transform yourself, and in doing so, transform the world. The system wants you to believe that your sensitivity is weakness, that your questioning is rebellion, that your difference is deficiency. These are lies designed to keep you disconnected from your power. The truth is that your sensitivity is spiritual technology, your questioning is awakened discernment, your difference is divine purpose. Every time you felt like you didn't belong in your family, it wasn't because something was wrong with you. It was because your soul carried frequencies of consciousness that couldn't be contained within unconscious patterns. This isn't spiritual elitism. It's simply recognizing that souls awaken at different rates, in different ways, for different purposes. Your early recognition that something wasn't aligned with truth in your family system wasn't judgmental. It was accurate perception. Your inability to adapt to dysfunction wasn't failure. It was spiritual integrity. Your persistent questioning of normal wasn't defiance. It was discernment. The ancient wisdom that Blavatsky preserved teaches that consciousness evolves through cycles of forgetting and remembering. We forget our divine nature upon incarnation to fully immerse in the human experience. We then spend our lives remembering who we truly are beneath the layers of conditioning and false identification. The toxic family system accelerates this remembrance by creating conditions where forgetting is no longer sustainable. When love is distorted beyond recognition, the soul is forced to remember what love truly is. When truth is manipulated into gaslighting, the soul is compelled to reconnect with its innate truth-sensing capacity. When worth is made conditional on performance, the soul must reclaim its inherent value. This process isn't punishment. It's cosmic curriculum designed for souls ready to awaken. The very experiences that seem designed to break you were actually designed to break you open, to crack the shell of false identification and release the limitless consciousness within. Consider how your difficult family experiences developed capabilities you might otherwise never have accessed. Perhaps you became extraordinarily perceptive, able to read subtle emotional cues that others miss. Perhaps you developed unusual resilience, able to maintain your center through challenges that would destabilize others. Perhaps you cultivated profound compassion, understanding human behavior from a perspective that transcends judgment. These aren't consolation prizes for a difficult childhood. They're evidence of your soul's alchemical power to transform lead into gold. They're the spiritual muscles developed through the resistance training of challenging circumstances. Those from easier backgrounds might never need to develop these capacities, and that's their journey. Yours involved developing specific spiritual technologies needed for your unique purpose in the world. There's a profound difference between understanding the purpose of difficult experiences and glorifying suffering itself. Nothing in this perspective suggests that abuse, neglect, or emotional manipulation are good or necessary in themselves. They are distortions arising from unconsciousness, but they can serve as catalysts for greater consciousness in those experiencing them. This distinction is crucial. The soul doesn't seek suffering, it seeks awakening. In a world where consciousness often slumbers within comfortable illusions, contrast becomes a powerful awakening mechanism. Your difficult family circumstances weren't valuable because of the pain they caused, but because of the awakening they catalyzed. The suffering itself has no inherent value. The remembrance it triggered is beyond price. This perspective offers a middle way between denial of suffering and fixation on victimhood, a path that acknowledges the full reality of painful experiences while recognizing their role in a larger spiritual process. The most liberating aspect of this understanding is recognizing that you weren't a passive victim of your circumstances, but a conscious participant in your soul's evolution. This doesn't blame you for the unconscious behaviors of others. It empowers you with the knowledge that even the most challenging experiences served your deeper purpose. From this perspective, forgiveness becomes not just possible, but natural. Not because what happened was okay, but because you recognize that all participants were playing their roles in a larger drama of consciousness evolution. Your family members weren't villains. They were unconscious actors in your soul's awakening story. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior. It contextualizes it within a spiritual framework that offers meaning where there might otherwise be only resentment and confusion. As you integrate this understanding, you naturally shift from identifying with your wounds to identifying with the consciousness that witnessed and transformed those wounds. This isn't spiritual bypassing, it's spiritual maturity. It doesn't deny your human experience. It expands your identity beyond that experience to include the awareness that contained and transcended it. From this expanded perspective, you can honor both your human journey and your soul's purpose. You can feel compassion for the child who suffered, while recognizing the awakened being that suffering helped to reveal. You can acknowledge the pain of your past while choosing not to be defined by it. This integration of human experience and spiritual awareness is the hallmark of true wisdom. Not an abstract concept, but a lived reality that transforms how you navigate your life and relationships. The final revelation in this journey is perhaps the most profound. The understanding that your awakening isn't just for you. It's for your entire ancestral line. It's for your children and their children. It's for everyone whose life you touch with your hard-won wisdom. By breaking the patterns of unconsciousness in your family system, you create ripples of healing that extend far beyond your personal experience. This is why awakened souls incarnate into challenging families, to heal not just themselves, but entire lineages. To transform not just their personal circumstances, but collective consciousness. Your journey from wounded child to awakened being isn't just a personal triumph. It's spiritual service of the highest order. It's the work you came here to do, the sacred alchemy of transforming unconsciousness into awareness, wounding into wisdom, separation into remembrance of our essential unity. This is the truth that Blavatsky risked everything to preserve. This is the knowledge that organized religion has systematically removed from its teachings. This is the perspective that transforms victims into initiates, wounds into wisdom, and suffering into purpose. Not through spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity, but through clear-eyed recognition of both human reality and divine design. You weren't born into a toxic family by mistake. You weren't given more than you could handle. You were placed precisely where your unique soul could catalyze its remembrance, develop its spiritual capacities, and fulfill its purpose in the evolution of consciousness. This understanding doesn't diminish your human experience. It elevates it from random suffering to sacred journey, from cosmic accident to divine design. It offers not just healing for past wounds, but purpose for future choices. The knowledge that everything you've experienced has prepared you for what you came here to do, to embody awakened consciousness in human form, and in doing so, to transform the world.